hold up really well too. Now the big problem with this fly, it's kind of like hexes, getting the hackle for it. You got to have hackle that's like 3/4 barbs or 3/4 of an inch in a grizzly. And the only thing I found two things that you can get a whiting. I've got a couple of whiting American saddles that are, you know, they use for saltwater. That works. And then I've got a Coq de Leon rooster neck that actually works, but the color's not quite right. But it does work pretty well. But getting hackles, just like your hex flies, man, is trying to get a size 6 hackle is kind of tough. So, hooks go.
In the old days, that's all you could get.
Yeah, I mean you can get 24s now, but you can't get 6s. So the hook I'm going to use for this is a Tiemco 5212. It's actually a 2x long. Borger uses a standard length hook, and what I found with that, I get a lot of short strikes. I don't know if it's because it's stiff and it knocks them out, so I like to use a little longer hook for this. And these are 12s, which is a pretty average size for what these flies are. So the thread I'm using is Uni 80 in this blue, but I don't think they make it anymore.
That's called Silver Dr. Blue.
Is it in Uni?
Yeah, in Uni it's called Silver Dr. Blue.
So if you,
I saw it in Stockard's catalog not too long ago.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they still. I haven't seen it, but if they don't have that, if you can't get that, you can just take a marking pen and use white thread and you just mark it right at first, and you mark it when you go to whip it off, and it works just as well. So the body of this thing is made out of braided monofilament. It's actually a bass line.
Colored blue.
Colored, yeah. Well, I was telling Bill, it's a little tedious. You gotta mark it blue, then you gotta mark all these little black lines on the thing. But this is what it is. I don't know if you can see that. But it's a braided bass line. This is like 35 pound. And if you do 3 feet, you got enough for a lifetime, pretty much. Because I'm using like a 1 inch piece for each fly. So
you use just a marker?
yeah, it's just a blue marker. This is old Pantone pen. I don't know if they still sell these, but you can go to the art store, and get something pretty close to it.
No, they still sell Pantone.
Do they?
Yeah.
So this is called this color is called processed blue, and it's like the perfect color for it. I don't know how much difference it makes it be exact. But
And then what, like just a Sharpie, and you just...
yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, I just take about a 3-foot piece and just color with the blue, let it dry, and then take a black Sharpie, a small one, and just start making your marks. I mean,
That's cool.
it's kind of tedious, but
That's
you don't have to do it very long. It'll last you a long time. So, and that pattern is very effective. So, and then when I get to that point, you just cut a piece about 1 inch long, and then you burn one end so that they don't. Otherwise, it'll fray out on you. So to start out, I'm going to start about in the middle of this hook, and I'm going to make a little ball of thread right in the middle. And then I'm going to take this body, and I'm going to fray the end that's not burnt.
It pulls out if you don't do that? Or?
Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to lock it against that bump, and then it's going to kind of go around the hook a little bit, and then it'll stay there. Normally I don't have any glue, but I'd glue it too, right here. So as I lock it down, you can kind of form it around the hook. And just tie it down tight. Then I'm going to come up to the eye. Now Borger doesn't put any eyes on these things. I like making the eyes on them. Actually the eyes on a damsel are very prominent. So what I've done, I've taken some 50-pound mono, and I've cut a piece about a 1/2 inch long, and you have to experiment with whatever mono you have. I've taken I've got some forceps that I've ground the points down real short. And then I just take a little piece in the middle, burn, you light it on fire, let it burn to the forceps, blow it out, turn it over, do that, and then that makes it just about the right size. So I'm gonna tie the eyes on. At this point, I put some flex cement on there. Now I'm going to use some poly yarn. Now what Borger uses is this. It's like a polyester yarn. I like the poly yarn better. It's a little smoother. Tie it in just behind the eyes. I want to tie right up to the bump. With that bump, it kind of kicks that body up a little bit too. So at this point, I want to post this thing just a little bit so I have somewhere to tie my parachute hackle. So this just kind of stiffens up the hackle part. Okay, so that gives me a little base for where my hackle is going to go. I want to take a little bit of dubbing and put just a little bit behind that post. And this dubbing is something I made of just a mixture of rabbit, blue rabbit, and some, and actually that yarn. I guess you can probably buy some blue dubbing somewhere. Probably the steelhead guys have blue dubbing now.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So you need a hackle. You're going to need about 5 to 6 wraps of hackle. So you can see how big that hackle is. So I'm going to tie it in right in front of the post. And you see see how there's a few more fibers cut off of this side than there is in there. So what I want to do, I want to leave enough stem bare where I'm going to first make my first wrap. So my wraps are going to go from the top down. So I want to, it's about right there. Here's the tricky part. So this is all a matter of tension. If I pull too hard, I'm going to pop it over the top of this thing. So now every wrap, when I'm doing this parachute, I'm going to drop down on the back side to get up underneath the wrap I just made, and I'm going to pull up so that each wrap butts up against the other. If I don't do that, I'm going to start getting a bunch of fibers that go down. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to get up underneath and I'm going to drop back down. So that way each wrap is kind of butted up against the last one. So you get about 5 or 6 wraps in there. Enough. Probably do it. And I get one more. Okay. I'm going to tie this off here. this point, you don't want to lose your hackle. Okay, I'm going to do double body and then we'll pull the hackle over. Okay. Now what you want to do up front here, you want to split the hackles evenly, best you can. Pull the post over. Make a couple wraps, then I'm going to go between the eyes up to the eye. Make another wrap. And I'm going to come back behind the eyes. Pull that back. And that's going to make a nice big fat head like these things have. And I'm just going to whip it off right here. Might have to have you whip it off for me.
Hey, I don't want to hear
Oh,
about it.
yeah, there we go. Save my ass here.
If you learn to use your fingers, you wouldn't have to look through the tool.
You know, I used to know how to do that, but after I saw Renee Harrop use a tool, guy who's tied a million flies, I figured he can do
He
it.
uses that other type too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. And I'm just gonna cut off the excess. And at that point, I'd put some glue there. So that's pretty much it.
Good's that thing float?
Huh?
How good's it float?
Floats good. But you gotta have some Cavasil though.
Yeah, when you get a fish pulls it under, then it,
Yeah. So what I do is just use some silicone or whatever, right at first, paste them up, and then get some into that braided stuff too, and then if you get a fish or it starts to sink, then powder makes that wing really float. But
if the fish would leave it alone, it'd float a lot longer.
it probably would, yeah. So that's it. I'll give it a shot.